Paper checks are a nightmare on many levels, which I won't go into now, mainly because I'll start ranting and raving and I could go on for several hours. If you are putting manual signatures on those checks, please, please, please avoid these 5 really bad practices, which are in use in far too many companies today. Hey guys, I'm Mary Schaefer, founder of AP Now, back with another AP Now soundbite, the place where we discuss simple and complex accounts payable issues in short, concise soundbites. Okay, mistake number 1. Getting manual signatures on a check without giving the signer backup to check before they sign. Now, people will say, oh, it's a real pain. It's a lot of manual work to attach the backup to the check, give it to the signer. He or she then signs the check, reviews the backup, gives it back. They have to dismantle it in accounts payable and then mail it. A lot of manual work. Yes, it is a lot of manual work, but if you are getting manual signatures put on your checks, you're usually doing it for a reason. You want some additional checking to be done. And if you don't give them the backup, that can't be done. And you're defeating 99% of the purpose. The only thing you're really going to be finding in that instance is that one of your staff hasn't made the check payable to themselves or their brother-in-law. Hopefully you'll be able to catch that. But if you're not giving them the backup, then you're not getting most of the value out of that task. Mistake number 2. The company goes through all the trouble to attach that backup, and then the person who's the authorized signer who's putting their signature on it doesn't bother to look at it. That's to some extent even more aggravating than the first case, because here you're doing all this added work and you're not getting any value. So you want to make sure that your authorized signers are checking that backup against the check when they are putting the signature on. They also are looking at that backup to make sure that that's something that you should be paying, it's being paid out of the right account, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Okay, mistake number 3. And I want to say that nobody would be doing this, but I know from doing talks in person, every time I mention this, there's always 1 or 2 people in the room that are hanging their heads saying, yeah, we do this, or, I told the owner not to do it, we should stop doing it, but we're still doing it. So unfortunately, there are a few people still out there doing it, and we're going to mention it. And that is getting a stamp, like a paid stamp, except in this case, you have an authorized signer's signature on it, and then whoever you give it to can go around, stamp the checks, and mark them signed. You negate all your fraud protections with the banks when you do this, and it's a really, really bad practice. Anybody can copy that stamp, and God forbid if it gets lost, anybody can use it. So if you're doing that, that might be the worst of all these practices that we're going to stop, okay? All right. Before we get to the last 2, I'd like to invite you to hit the subscribe button. It's free, completely private, and you can unsubscribe at any point. If you are watching on YouTube, you can also subscribe with a Gmail account. We post new content on Tuesdays and Thursdays about accounts payable and payment issues, and on Saturday we post about my newest obsession, Wordle. Okay, bad practice number 4. This is when an owner or an executive goes out of town and they take some blank checks and they sign them and they leave them with the admin for emergencies. Okay, so now what happens is if there is an emergency, the admin fills in the payee and the check is used to handle that emergency. The problem with that is that admin can also fill out that check to his or herself, to their brother-in-law, their sister-in-law, whoever they want, and it is a legitimate check because it has a legitimate signature on it. And you will have no recourse with the bank if that person decides to take off with the money. Or even if they are 100% honorable and somebody manages to steal that check, either out of their desk or off their desk, whatever the story is, somebody gets their hands on it and puts their own name on it, your protections are gone because you have signed the check. So really, really don't do that. The last issue is not 100% a signing problem, but it's one that I see going on in more companies than you would imagine. And this is where the company leaves an emergency checkbook either in an unlocked desk or in a locked filing cabinet so that if they have to issue a check real quickly, they can, and they do. And what happens is a lot of people come to know, oh, there's a blank checkbook either in that file cabinet or in that desk, and that either of them are unlocked, then they can go and take the checks and do what they want with them. Now, you might be sitting there saying, well, doesn't the bank check signatures? And the answer to that is no. And you might be saying, well, we don't have that problem because we put the checks in a file cabinet and we lock that file cabinet. And that's good. And then I'm going to ask you, what do you do with the key to that filing cabinet? And in many cases, what happens is that key to that filing cabinet goes either in a manager's desk or a controller's desk in the top drawer. The desk isn't locked, or if it's locked, it's got a flimsy lock. And everybody knows that, yeah, the filing cabinet's locked, but Joe or Jane has the key in their top drawer, and it's no big matter to go and get the key out and open up the filing cabinet if they've got larceny in their hearts, if they don't have honorable intentions. Okay, so getting manual signatures on checks isn't the only problem accounts payable folks encounter. We did 2 short videos recently on all the different unexpected problems they may have. There are links to those broadcasts discussing them in the show notes. And on YouTube, a link will appear. As always, we greatly appreciate those thumbs up, those shares, those comments, and those subscribes. So good luck.